Welcome to the Get Off My Lawn podcast. My name is John Anderson. I will be your host tonight, although I may just come across as a grumpy old man, and that's okay too. So, fair warning, that's why I put it up on the screen here in front of me. It is Thursday night. It's a little after 8 o'clock, but it's within the first 10 minutes, so we're going to count it because I'm not late until I'm at least 15 minutes late. So, those of you that know me, you understand. We're going to have some fun tonight. Not a whole lot that we really are going to dig deep into. We'll just keep it kind of light tonight and go from there as we get a few more people in out of the green room and up onto the screen. But a couple announcements, just like always, real quick. If you are joining us live, we would love to hear from you. So get your comments, questions, whatever. You know what? We're going to open this up. So we're going to talk about just a little bit of stuff, but then throw the questions out there. I don't care. Ask us about any topic, and if we don't know the answer, trust me, we'll make one up. So it'll be a lot of fun tonight, and you might learn a thing or two. We can't guarantee that it'll be accurate or factual, but gosh, we might just surprise you. So if you are watching live, please, if you haven't done so, follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and make sure that you're hitting that like button and the share button. Please share. Spread this far and wide. That would be amazing if you do that for us. We would appreciate it. Tonight's broadcast, as always this season, is brought to you by Sandhills Defense, Northeast Nebraska's, I want to say premier, but I don't know if they're the premier. For sure, they are one of the best firearm training services that I've ever been part of. So yeah, help me out with my company. Let's grow Sandhills Defense. If you're in Northeast Nebraska or within driving distance and you've got a class that you want me to have, get a hold of me. I will travel. I've got a class scheduled here at the end of March, a couple hours up the road in Ainsworth, Nebraska. So let us know where you are, what you need, and we will do everything in our power to make it happen. You can catch us on Facebook. Is one of the fastest ways to get a hold of us, or you can go to sandhillsdefense.com or call or text 402-851-0726. Those are all options there too. We are also very proud, as always, to be a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Very, very cool website where you can see all kinds of cool podcasts, 2A related, gun related, freedom related, neat stuff. Go check them out, sdrn.us. And of course, as always, the views and opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the individual expressing them and do not reflect the views of any of our sponsors or other panelists. We're not offering any legal advice, no medical advice, because we're not doctors, we're not lawyers. We're just a couple of good-looking fellas that you really ought to listen to because we know what's up. So, and again, that claim has not been substantiated or approved by the FDA. Just so you guys know. All right, we're going to put everybody equal up on the screen here and say hello to everybody real quick. So we've got joining us, going clockwise, Travis P11 is in the house. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for coming along with us.
Appreciate the invite, man. It's going to be a fun chat. Got a lot of stuff to talk about.
I think it's going to be fun. Also coming to us from normally Atlanta, but right now in parts unknown, somewhere deep in the swamps of Florida, Patrick Collins from The Gun Food is with us. How are you? Oh, you're muted. I cannot hear you, sir.
Ooh, let's fix that there. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
We're all doing great, I think. Glad you're along for the ride. Also in an undisclosed location deep underground somewhere near the Kansas-Nebraska border. Down in the bunker, we've got Pat with us. How are you, Pat?
I'm doing good. Fingers crossed. Hopefully the internet holds tonight, and I'm actually able to make it through a whole podcast without dumping myself.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Hopefully that works for you.
So, yeah, thanks for having me on, John. Appreciate it.
And last but certainly not least, also from Nebraska, we've got Joe G coming into us from the Easy Chair.
That's right. I think after being out in the cold and snow, and I think I've earned it.
You know, when one is out there driving that liquid petroleum truck around, yes, you've kind of you've kind of earned your spot in the warm, cozy easy chair, I believe, too. So thanks for keeping Eastern Nebraska warm and toasty this winter. We appreciate you.
We're trying. I ended up in the shop for 2 hours today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Well-
we started to eat a belt. And we changed out a pulley we changed out the idler pulley and the tensioner. The tensioner just started to tweak enough to let her to walk to eat the belt. So
Well,
it's always
that's all right.
something, never a dull moment.
Keep her running. That propane needs to be delivered, Hank Hill. So we appreciate you. For those of you that are not aware, Joe works for Strickland Propane. Nebraska.
Funny
And-
side
and I-
note,
The Nebraska
it's coming
wing.
back.
I heard that. I heard the King of the Hill's coming back.
It's already. The reboot is coming soon.
Make propane great again.
Well, he did it with Beavis and Butthead, so why not do it with King of the Hill?
So wait. So this works out good. So far, if I'm Hank, Pat would be a Dale, and John would be Bill.
Yeah,
That
I'll be
means
Bill.
Travis,
I'm
you're
Bobby.
either
I'm Bobby.
you're Bobby, right?
Oh,
And
man.
that means oh man, I lost his name.
Patrick,
You
you're
told
gonna
me
have
what
to be Boomhauer.
Yes. He's from the
Yes,
south. He's
Patrick
back
is
to Twine.
Boomhauer. Yep.
They're all from
There we
Texas.
go.
They're all from the South.
Texas thinks it's the South. It's not. It's its own country. So,
Right.
Yeah. If you want to be
Yeah,
good, if you want to be Southern in Texas, you got to go to Mexico. So
That's right. Okay.
Hold on, I'll be back. I
we
got
got
to
to go
go
north to
now.
Oklahoma.
Okay, so a couple of things that I want to mention. I'm going to say this at the end of the show, but I want to mention it now too. So last week we had talked a little bit about maybe moving to a different night, same time, just different night. So we're going to give it a whirl in March. So not next week or the week after, or even the week after that, but in March we're going to try moving to Wednesdays at 8:00 and see what happens. So look for us then. I'll make sure that I put the right night on all the broadcasts when they get announced, so that nobody gets confused. But be aware that's going to be happening in a month. We'll try it for the month of March and see what happens. If nobody shows up, we'll probably make a move back to Thursdays. We'll see. Otherwise, you know what? Maybe some of you might not be able to make it, but there might be a whole pile of people that are busy right now that might make it on Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll find out here. So who do we have out there in the chat? Travis is out there and in here. Kingpin was very first with the Happy Every Second Matters post. We will be talking about that here too. My beautiful bride is out there in the chat over in the producer's chair. Irish Wristwatcher in the house. 10X Shooters in the house. Scott 79. And that looks like it's about it. Where are the comments, guys? It says that there's 11 people watching. So we need you to get those comments going. Questions, witty banter, anything like that you want to share. So get those rolling in. So yes, it is Every Second Matters Day, and a lot of folks maybe don't know what that really means, but that is a day that some of us set aside to, if we can, we open carry on the 2nd of every month. Now, some of you live in an area, state, city, whatever, that doesn't allow for open carry, and we get that. We don't want anybody breaking the law. But for those of you that can lawfully open carry, and not only lawfully, but safely, you're not in a place where it's going to cause a panic or, cause more commotion than it's worth, then, we just try to raise awareness to what the rights are for those that own firearms here in the U.S. and specifically here in Nebraska. A lot of folks don't realize that you can open carry with no permit, no training course required, no background checks or any of that. If you can legally possess the handgun, then you can legally carry it as long as any part of it's visible, then it's not concealed. So that kind of discussion right there is what we hope to have, just a teachable moment with somebody as we're out, at the gas station or downtown cafe or whatever it is. So Travis, you've kind of been around Every Second Matters for quite a while. So I'm not going to ask if you open carried at work today. Since
Yeah.
tactical-
I open carry knowledge, John. That's
We
what I
know
open carry.
better.
So
yeah. But I do kind of want to just go around the horn a little bit and put everybody on the spot when you hear that, every second matters. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Two-way rights, man. Two-way rights under attack all the time. It's a nonstop battle, bump stocks, not bump stocks, but pistol braces, restrictions. What we're trying to get to pass in Nebraska right now. I mean, it's just it's that constant battle, man. If you want to keep owning your firearm and have that right, it's a reminder how important it is. We need that monthly reminder.
Sure, Patrick. I don't know if you have seen or heard the Every Second Matters stuff a whole lot, but whether you're not new to it, or even if this is the first time you're hearing of it, when you hear Every Second Matters, I mean, what comes to your mind?
I mean, it's the truth. Just like Travis was saying, it's every second does matter. Hell, every day matters. And if you're into self-preservation and if you have good morals, I mean, that's what life is about. It's about preserving life, So, heck yeah. Unfortunately, though, Florida does not have open carry, though.
Not unless you're doing one of the ing activities, right?
Yes, exactly.
Camping, hunting, fishing, but you have to be actively doing it or traveling, walking to or from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, fun times in Florida. But that's what. Now, real quick before we go to the next two fellas, you're about to go to an event there in Florida where a lot of people will be open carrying while they are actively participating in one of those other ING activities. So do you want to tell people a little bit about what that is and what's going on here this weekend in Florida?
Absolutely. So Florida Carry, which is their premier gun group, lobbyist, if you will, they are having a camping event called Freedom Fest. And as you had said, the only way you can open carry here in the state of Florida is if you are actively hunting, camping, or fishing, and or going to or from doing said event. So they have a camping event in the middle of the winter. Actually, it's not that bad today. It was 80 degrees, sunny, and palm trees, just to make you guys jealous out there in the cold Arctic parts of the country. But yeah, so we're down here. We're camping. Oh, 8. Is that a small zero at the end of it, or is that a degree sign?
Yeah, that's a degrees Fahrenheit. So that's below is going to be 3. So we got to add another 71 degrees. 70. I can't do the math. 72 degrees to get to where you guys were. So yeah, tonight's going to be 3 tonight, and then the high tomorrow is going to be 32. So
yeah,
just enough to not kill you fast enough. So
well, I'll give you my regards and I'll send you a heat and blanket or something. I don't know what you might need.
Please.
But
blankets down there anyway. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm down here at the 2A Freedom Fest. This is their 3rd annual, I believe, Freedom Fest, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm excited to speak there. We have a booth there as well. We'll be selling ammunition, and it's just great time.
Good stuff. So the important questions. First part, is Amanda doing another fashion show down there? And second part of the question, are you modeling it?
No, there is no fashion show that I am aware of. But hey, if someone wants me to model, I will model. That last fashion show I was in got a lot of coverage.
That's true. And for those of you that have not been aware of this, Patrick is too sexy for his ammo.
He's too sexy for his brass. Non-gunners can kisses.
Wow. Okay. So this could really go off the rails.
We could do a parody song off that. So yeah.
Yeah. This could go off the rails really quick tonight.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask our other two panelists. Pat, what does Every Second Matters mean to you?
Just the ability to own firearms, carry how you want, when you want, how you want. It doesn't matter. It's just what everybody said on the panel so far. I mean, just like it says, the right to keep and bear arms, no matter what the situation is. It's just and today to do that, I had the rifle in the pickup with me all day long, and then once I got done chasing some cows around, I even put on my old wheel gun for a little bit today on my shoulder, and carried around a 357 Magnum today for just a little bit. So just to
Nice. I can't show
Just
it
to
while
do
we're
my part.
live, but I am wearing
No,
a wheel gun
unfortunately.
right now.
nice. What are you toting tonight?
Well, mine is so anybody that follows my Facebook page saw a post. Well, maybe not the way that they keep shadow banning me, and I get hardly any traffic on my post these days. But if you go look at my Facebook page, you'll see my post that I put up today, and it's a lot to do with what I'm carrying today. And I just said that anybody that thinks that carrying a firearm is compensating for any other shortcomings, if that was true, there's no way in hell that I'd be carrying a 1 7/8 inch snub nose revolver right now. So if I was compensating, I wouldn't have a 2-inch sub 2-inch barrel gun as my carry piece. That's for sure. Not that I don't need to compensate, but I don't use my sidearm to do such a thing. But no, I've got the J Frames 642 on right now. So
Nice.
yeah, it does.
This
Okay.
is why Sandhill Sweetheart sits in the producer chair off screen. Just saying.
Why? So that I don't embarrass her with the stuff that I say.
Too late.
She's out there in the comments though. She can, if she wanted to, she could either build me up or tear me down with probably just one comment. So I put a lot of faith and trust in my bride to not tell anybody stuff that's none of their business. So all right. So Joe, let's move over to you. When you hear every second matters, what comes into your mind?
Always be prepared, and the Second Amendment is there for a reason. And in the state of Nebraska, it's actually Article 1, Section 1, which actually makes me really proud in Nebraska that we didn't wait around for the second time. It is the first thing right out of the gate. It was really important for us in Nebraska, and I think it's sad in '86 they try to change that, and I'm really proud of the fact of the organization we belong to. We are trying to bring that back, and I think definitely all the time I carry every chance I get. And another good example of not having to compensate, I'm running a little 3.3 XDS, so we're all good.
There you go.
I'll back John up on that. If you can hit what the heck you're aiming at, you don't need to carry a monster. That's
right. That's right. I was trying to figure out. I wanted, when my post, I wanted to have one of those cool backgrounds, and if you got the cool background on your Facebook post, you can't put too many words, or it goes away and just goes to a regular post. And what I wanted to put up was a couple of hashtags that said hashtag it's not the size that matters, and then underneath it hashtag it's how you use it. But there wasn't enough space to do it, so I had to let those slip out of the post. Didn't get to put them up there, but so anyway, yeah, and just to answer that question myself, I mean, every second matters. Well, a lot of things come to my mind, but the first thing that comes to my mind is if it wasn't for the old Gun Channels crew, I wouldn't know what every second matters means either. And so just being around the old Gun Channels crew, I mean, seeing that emblem, that logo, brings back just a lot of great memories from when we were all kind of, everybody appeared on everybody's show. We've kind of branched out into finding our niche and doing our own thing since then, but that was pretty cool. And yeah, to me too, it's just it stands for a day that we might have a teachable moment. We might get the opportunity. There's the old Gun Channels logo. I should have been wearing an Every Second Matters patch on my hat today, but I didn't get it dug out. I haven't found all my patches since the move to find out where that one is. So at least I've got the Gadsden represented though. So we've got that. Joe and Patrick both are rocking the Gadsdens as well tonight, I saw. So So yeah, that's what it means to me. It's something that I think more people should pay attention to, and if you can, just try to set the second day of every month aside for an opportunity to maybe have a conversation. And the other thing is, you might not have a conversation, but somebody might see you walking around wherever you are with that open carry and decide that, you know what, somebody else is brave enough to do it. You know what, I might be brave enough to do it too. And they might, we just need to normalize it. And like anything else, if more people are aware that yes, it's okay to do that. No, this firearm that's on my belt here is not going to just jump out and get you. That good people carry firearms because a lot of different reasons, and bad people are only one of those. But and especially when you live in a rural state like ours, I mean, Pat and Joe live out in the country, and I grew up out in the country. I mean, firearms, they're just another tool like a pitchfork or a broom or a shovel. It's just something that we use without a thought of a two-legged predator. But there might be a four-legged predator. You might have to put down livestock or something like that, or just go out and have some fun plinking. So yeah, it's all kinds of cool stuff that every second matters means when I start to think about it. So yeah, if you can observe every second matters day, even if that means that all you get to do is put a post up on social media or something to that effect, or talk about it in a podcast that night. I mean, some people do a lot, some people do a little, but if everybody does something, then we can spread this out and just normalize that, firearms in and of themselves are neither good nor bad. They're just things, right? And that's the whole point. Okay, so still not seeing much for comments or questions out there. Come on, guys, let's have some fun questions. Just ask us something really crazy and off the wall that we can all chip in and answer to. Maybe it's like a Ann Landers type of, I got this situation, what should I do? Or something fun. But
the best way to learn how to transition from target to target and get really, really good?
Hunt hogs?
No, actually raise hogs. If you have hogs, doesn't matter what you do. If you raise them out on dirt, you will always have a couple of rats running around. And I tell you what, when you can hit a rat running across the top of a rail with a 22 on the run, you're doing pretty good. Took me a few years to get there, but
so wait a minute. Was the rat on the run, or were you on the run?
Well, generally, I would turn around and run for a second because they'd startle me, and then turn around and get them. So
gotcha. Because
chase me, I chase you.
What I'm envisioning is Joe's running away, looking over his shoulder, trying to shoot the rat. The rat's holding still,
John,
Joe can't hit crap because he's running at full tilt away from it just gets smaller and smaller.
That's why you get the little pepper shot ones, the 22. Come on now.
Oh, right.
You've been sneaking them around my house way too much, John. There's better things for you to do. Oh, got it.
Nice. Yeah, good stuff. So one more thing that I want to mention, because this isn't only the second of the month, this is the 2nd of February, and those of you in Texas have a state holiday set aside for Chris Kyle Day. This is the anniversary of the day that Chris Kyle was killed. This is actually the 10th anniversary this year of the day that Chris Kyle was killed. Yeah, does it seem like it's been that long?
No, it don't.
No.
Just completely nuts. Typically, the way that we observe Chris Kyle Day in the Anderson house is we would watch American Sniper again, and go and if you've got the DVD or the Blu-ray that's got some of the extra features, going through those, that's worth the price of the DVD or Blu-ray alone, just to get those extra features on there. Some of the interviews that are on there with Chris's wife Taya, talking about how as they were going through making the movie. He was a big part actually in writing of the screenplay and leading up to before they were about to shoot the movie. And I think they even had a lot of it shot when he was killed. But then they went back and changed the ending and reshot some of that to reflect what had happened there with his death. But just going back and watching how Taya describes when Clint Eastwood, who directed the film, came in and would just sit and talk to her, and they'd talk for hours or talk on the phone for hours together, just so he could kind of get a feel for their lives. And Bradley Cooper, that played Chris Kyle in the movie, did the same thing. Just spent a lot of time with Taya and the family, doing his best to get to know Chris. And I know they spent time together, I think, too, while Chris was alive. But just doing his honest best to do the role justice. I mean, that's the kind of thing that makes me happy to see when you're going to play somebody that was real, that the actor, all the filmmakers in general, but especially the actor or actress, takes the time to actually do the work, put in the research, and if you can meet that person's family or their close friends, then absolutely getting to know them through their eyes, so that you can portray that person as accurately as possible. That's pretty cool, I think. So I know there's been a lot of films that's been the case, but this isn't their day. So oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, actually, this is a photo that I took 2 years ago today.
Okay.
On So yeah, it just came up in my memory, and that's why I was like, I know I was there. I was trying to figure out when, but it was 2 years ago today.
So for anybody listening to the podcast form on replay that's not able to see the screen, what's that a picture of, Patrick?
It's a picture of, so I was in Midland, Texas, and there's very few things, or actually it's Odessa, Texas. Flew into Midland, and I actually saw the Chris Kyle, basically it's a memorial site there, and it was just amazing. They had just completed it. Very amazing thing to see. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So tired of going around the horn and calling on people. Let's just make this a fun night. Chris Kyle, guys, do you guys have anything you want to mention or ask? I mean, I'm sure that most everybody that's hearing my voice right now at least knows who that is, but not a lot of people know a lot of details and stuff. If you're a reader, I would highly recommend buying the book American Sniper, because there's a lot of it, and it was written by Chris, so it's his words, and it's autobiographical. So you're getting the first person recounting of his trips to Iraq and his his time coming back home to his family. And there's some things in there that a movie could never actually portray the way that a book can when somebody's telling their own feelings. And so just the sense that you get, and if you read it and then go back and rewatch the movie, it was a major source of contention at the time when he kept going back to Iraq for another tour, even though he had kids at home, and Taya was raising those kids, all by herself while he was deployed. But his sense of duty, not only to his country, but what a lot of people may not realize, because I don't think the movie portrayed it to the extent that it should have, is that his sense of duty to those Marines, those other soldiers that were in theater over there. He knew that there were other snipers that could be on Overwatch that maybe could get those boys home safe after they were clearing a building. But he knew that if he was there, that he could. He knew that they would get home safe. And there was also something that came over the guys when they knew that the legend was up top and he was watching over them. They got way more bold and they did some stuff that they probably not necessarily to the point of being reckless, but a lot of the fear and nerves left those Marines when they knew that that the legend was up there to take care of them, and he wasn't going to let anything happen to him. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of misplaced trust, where they trusted him a little bit more than what he was actually able to deliver. But then he did deliver too. So cool stuff. If you guys, I'm sure you've all seen the movie. Have any of you read the book?
Yes, I have the book and the movie. I've got the full Blu-ray and everything, and the movie's good. Don't get me wrong, but go out and get the book if it's still in circulation, because there is so many more stories and stuff in there, and just what he went through, and and in my opinion, I know there's been stuff that's tried to run him down, and people have their opinions about him, but at the end of the day, he went over there and he did what 99.5% of other U.S. people did not do, and join up, serve his country, and go out there and actually do something about it. So say what you want to about the guy, about the haters or whatever. Between the book and the movie and what I've seen, he seemed like a pretty good guy, and he was pretty damn good at his job. So that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think people need to look past, any of the, there were some things where his discharge papers did get screwed up by the military, and that he had no control over that at all. And it added some extra awards to him that he didn't actually receive. So when they would announce him, they'd call that he got this and this and that, but he did get that straightened out. So I think that was one of the issues that people took with him. And then there was also the Jesse Ventura thing, whatever, the punching somebody or whatever. But the thing is, I can't believe that people can't look past that at the American lives that he saved, and by with the confirmed kills that he did. I know it sounds terrible, but it's like, it's war. If you don't take out their sniper, they're going to take out our guys. So it's sad that people can't look past their own little personal hiccups or whatever they have on somebody and look at the hero off to the side. And here's the thing. Any of us here that's ever played sports or done anything with the boys growing up and stuff, you boast about it. It's not always 100% how it happened. You're like, time I carried the ball and scored, or, that's just guys being guys. You boast. I couldn't imagine if you go off on those tours in that combat that you wouldn't, have those glory days that you want to relive with your buddies, and you sit around and talk about stuff and how things happen. And, that's just guys. That's just guys being guys,
And we've all played when we were kids. I bet we've all played a game of telephone, where the stories get changed, they get embellished, right? By the time and that's, they called him the legend because he was a legend. And so, he's not at Chuck Norris status yet with the stuff that people say. But for those of you that aren't aware, Chuck Norris can divide by 0. And he once counted to infinity twice. So, that kind of stuff. But in all honesty, some of those stories get embellished with the retelling, right? Because why tell it if it's got to be worth telling, then you got to make it good sometimes. So then I'm talking about other people talking about him, talking him up, not himself. But and being a sniper is, I think, outside the military, it can be kind of a thankless job or looked upon scornfully by some people. But I know for a fact that every one of those Marines that were going into a building and he was making sure that nobody came in after him and came up the stairs behind him or whatnot. That's the kind of stuff that those guys are very grateful that they've got some overwatch, some eyes up in a high place that can see some stuff that they can't see, just to make sure that they can get home back to their loved ones too. So some good stuff there.
John, one of the things is, like I said, people get hung up on a few of his things that happen in daily life. And what really irritates me is or grinds my gears is, those guys that go over, they see a lot of crap. And I've had a lot of people I've known over the years who were either veterans. I have family that are veterans. It's interesting how some of them don't say a word. I got an uncle that did 3.5 tours of Nam. You know, he didn't really ever talk about a whole lot. That tells you what he's seen.
Right.
You know, and so you got to remember that some of that stuff messes with your psyche a little bit, and they have to come back and try to basically join the normal world. And we just seem to be a culture anymore that you have to have a perfection no matter what life is thrown at you, you know, and it just really, it really frustrates me. I'm a big proponent for our veterans, and the people that served. You know, once they sign up, it's not a job that you go, you know what, guys, this ain't for me.
Right.
After a year and a half, I'm going home. You know, they're in it for. I think that I really irritates me the lack of compassion, especially among other Americans. If you really truly know American history and what our ancestors have done for us to have what freedoms we do have, but to continue fighting and keeping the ones we have. And I just, it really does kind of grind my gears. You know, nobody's perfect, but they always seem to pick that up. Hey, and Patrick does have his cup.
Yeah, I knew he was rocking the Gadsden. I saw it earlier. No, and keep in mind too that those of you that aren't veterans, those of us that aren't veterans, I'm not one either. You know, again, there's just some stuff that, you know, they don't know everything that's going on back in the world as it happens, but they, you know, with internet and emails and stuff now, you know, the people in theater, they pretty well keep up with current events almost in real time, and they know what's being said. They know what people are saying about them and everything else. You know, it's kind of like with us being 2A advocates. I mean, I can only hear lies or misinformation being spewed in a committee hearing on a bill so long before, you know, I'm ready to just start shouting at the screen, TV or phone or whatever I'm watching it on. I get fed up with it to where, you know, if somebody walked up to me and started spouting that stuff, I wouldn't punch them, but I'd probably go off on them just because I'm fed up with it at that point, right? I've had it, you know, I've had it up to here. And so the soldiers returning home, there's a couple things, not only that, but then, yeah, they've got to find a way to process everything that's happened and reconcile that against being back in the civilized part of the world. They've got to decompress. They also have to, a lot of these people, they come right out of high school and they may or may not have had a job in high school, but that's really the first job they've ever had. And what does the military do in any branch, except for maybe the Coast Guard? They are trained how to be death dealers, right? I mean, that's all there is to it. The military by design is trained to be killers, and everything else that they do comes second to that to support the people on the front lines. I mean, you might be trained as a mechanic on a you know, deuce and a half, but you're also trained how to kill and how because you might have to defend yourself against an attack on your base or whatever at some point. So every soldier knows how to shoot. They all know how to fight. And some of them know how to turn wrenches or program computers or you know, climb buildings and sit up there with a rifle. But whatever it is, they come home, and what's their skill set? A lot of these guys and gals, their skill set is, I kill people. Well, now I'm back in the world, and those skills are not practical here. So they've got to retrain their whole mindset, their whole reason for being. And that's where the disconnect comes in, that a lot of people who've never served or never been around the people that have served don't realize how hard it can be when they come home.
Yeah. The reacclimation process is very, very difficult. You know, whether it's in the military or even in prison too, because it's the same thing. You're stuck in a certain lifestyle that it's basically forced upon you, whether you have a choice of doing it. In some cases, in military, you do have a choice of doing certain things, or in prison life where you don't have a choice of doing it once you commit the crime to get in prison. And yeah, that's one of the things that we talk about when it comes to like the mental mindset and the reacclimation process. It's super important for both our military as well as our the folks that are incarcerated, because there are a lot of folks that are actually incarcerated with the same issue where they get released into public and they don't know how to make a living. And also the title of them, thankfully, we don't have it as bad as some of the Vietnam folks did, but the title of being a soldier was not always the most patriotic thing that you could do in this country.
Yeah, and could you imagine the people that came home from Vietnam who didn't have email or internet, so they didn't know what was going on back in the world, most of them. Maybe they got a letter. A lot of them didn't get letters. So there wasn't a lot of news from home, right? And they get off the plane, and the first thing they get is yelled at, spit on, called baby killers and everything else. Can you just imagine how that would affect you when you just came back from hell on earth and all you want to do is try to get past it somehow, and then you get home and everybody's criticizing you for following orders and just doing what you had to do to survive, both physically and emotionally and mentally in a place like that I can't wrap my head around what that's like. So yeah, everybody that came home from Vietnam, nobody came back without some sort of scars, whether they were visible or invisible scars. But all of you who have signed on the dotted line to let Uncle Sam own your butt for a while, I sure appreciate all of you.
Now, John, I don't want to make it into a mental health discussion, but I think we should discuss
Go for it.
the man that killed Chris Kyle. I reread tonight what exactly led up to the events. They were taking him to the range. He was sitting in the back seat of Chris's truck, and they asked him, "Why did you kill him? Why'd you shoot him?" And the man was suffering from some severe mental illness, according to his family members. He was going through PTSD, and he was going to the range with Chris and Chris's friend. And he said, well, we were riding to the range and Chris and his friend didn't talk to me all the way out to the range. So I shot him. That's what he told the police. That's what and he goes, and he said something along the lines like, am I sad that I did it? Yeah. But he goes, I'm sure at some point Chris and his friend would forgive me. That's what his statement was to the police. So, I mean, and he was going through severe PTSD. He was a Marine himself after coming back from combat. I think he was 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And, and then here I'm also thinking, like the guy in Target in Omaha with the AR, the police, the suicide by cop, we assume. Yeah. I think it speaks volumes, and I'm going to say it, a lack of mental health options for people that need it. And I mean, there's a million, things, there's a million regulations and laws and rules and stuff, but I just think that, the cost of it prohibits a lot of people from getting it. What can be associated with it if you do go, what you can lose if you decide to get help for yourself. And I just think that, maybe we should look at prioritizing funds for things once in a while, maybe have something better set up for people, like maybe ensuring that our soldiers get what they need when they come back to reacclimate, not just pills, and not just some therapy every now and then, and that's it, Right. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just thinking that to go through that, it's just, we keep seeing this over and over again. And how many veterans commit suicide every day? It's like, there's something very wrong with how we run the country when people return from combat, Yep. I had a good friend of mine that was in Shield and then Storm. He was there for it. And he's an educator. And I said, when you came back, because we watched a lot of combat movies and stuff. I go, what was your transition program when you came home? He goes, I got off the plane and went back home with my wife. And I was like, oh, no real direction what he was going to do. No idea. No. Hey, welcome back after, 5 years of, here's
right.
Your man, go figure it out, and that just doesn't work for a lot of people. And I think that's sad. And I it's a shame we can spend trillions on things, but not to take care of our own when they come back. So that's all I'm saying.
No, and
on that,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, on that note, Travis, there is been a few bills that have been presented in legislation. There's a few of them that they're kind of a mess because they're trying to do so much so fast that would affect a lot of things. But there's been a couple of them that actually are trying to address some of that here in Nebraska. So that is something that's being worked with, thankfully. So it's not like a thing of the past as much. It's kind of being brought to the forefront, I think, because of certain situations.
About time, man. It's way too late, but it's about time. Better late than
Ozzy's
never.
Right.
got a great
Yeah.
comment that says there's basic training going in, there should be basic training coming out.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be a cool idea.
I got a friend of mine that was a door gunner in Vietnam, and
Wow.
he told me one night he was a driver and we were kind of hanging out at a place we were delivering to, and it's amazing. This guy's in his 70s, and he still is so frustrated after all the years of how a kid from Iowa could end up over there and end up being a door gunner. And then he comes back and he goes, and I was one of those ones that came back, and when we landed in California, they're screaming at us, calling us baby killers. And yet they had no idea that we were seeing things when we landed that the North Vietnamese were doing, and they were calling us baby killers. He goes, and it was amazing. He'd been out of there for probably 45, 50 years at that time. And just the emotion and the stress on him, it was like it was just a couple weeks ago. It was still so fresh, and we didn't have it then, and I still don't think we have it now. And I totally agree with what Ozzy said. Basic going in and basic going out. We really have failed a lot of our military, in my opinion, on that aspect.
Yeah, there needs to be more dealt with addressing the strain that it puts on somebody just to be, just to go over there and be in theater like that. I can't imagine, even if you're not somebody that goes out on patrols or kicks in doors or anything like that, just knowing that at any point there could be mortar shells coming in to, where you're sleeping or where you're working in behind a desk or changing oil in a truck or whatever you're doing on the base there in the camp. I mean, safety is 100% an illusion, but it's even more true for somebody like that's in that situation. I think. I mean, you can never let your guard down, and it's just the stress of always having to have eyes in the back of your head. I mean, I understand how the bonds that are formed, the fraternity that grows between people that are teamed up with each other. I mean, you literally have to trust that person to look at the stuff that you can't see, and you have to trust each other to get each other home alive every day. I mean, that's that kind of stuff. I don't know what it feels like personally. Obviously, I haven't been in that situation, but I understand the bonds, and I understand how people that were friends in the military can come home and have a closer bond with somebody than they do their own family or their best friend growing up or whatever. I get that part of it, right? So what I wish is that could be somehow institutionalized. The loyalty that those guys at the pointy end have to each other, I wish that they could feel that same loyalty from their Uncle Sam, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because that's where we really fall short. Those guys are willing to die for each other, but Uncle Sam's not willing to get a paper cut for somebody once they get home. Screw them. They've served out their usefulness. So, or that's how it seems like anyway. And anybody that works in the bureaucracy that would like to refute that, please, let's have that talk, because you're wrong. I'm right. So you had mentioned earlier, Joe, there's several laws that are have been or bills that have been introduced this year in Nebraska's legislature. And I'm not going to talk about what happened in Omaha yesterday because the obligatory 48 hours has not passed and all the details haven't come out, although they have identified and released the guy's name, but and the officer who responded and how do I say this, took care of business. But other than that, we don't know a lot more details. There's a lot more speculation and hearsay than there is anything else. So I'm going to hold hard and fast to my 48-hour rule and not comment on it tonight here. And the reason I'm saying all that is because I want to talk about a specific bill that has been reintroduced here in Nebraska. And I don't want to use that tragedy to springboard into this talk. That's why I'm trying to separate the two. Because there has been a bill that has been introduced in our legislature, and the name of it is the Suicide Prevention Act bill, which sounds awesome, right? Who does not want to prevent suicides? And yeah, what you had said, Travis, may or may not turn out to be the case on that particular incident in Omaha. He may have decided that he was done living his life, but wanted the police to handle the checking out for him. We don't know yet, so I can't say anything for sure. But
and I don't blame you for the 48-hour thing. But did you happen to watch the interview with his uncle that was on camera?
No, I haven't watched
the story. Okay, he does mention quite a bit about what the guy was going through, so it was
sure.
rough.
And I've read.
No, I hear you. We don't know much
family,
right now.
Have said he's been struggling. So that much I have seen.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back just in general here. So the Suicide Prevention Act. Here's what the Suicide Prevention Act actually says. If that law bill is signed into law, then we'll have a provision for an ex parte protection order here in our state. Well, what the heck's an ex parte protection order? Well, tell me if this sounds familiar, guys. It's a law where if somebody thinks that you are a danger to yourself or others in the near future, they can petition the court, and the court holds a hearing that you don't know about and you're not invited to, where the petitioner gives their evidence, and the judge looks over the evidence given of why you might be a danger, and they apply the loosest of standards, the preponderance of evidence, which means that it's simply more likely than not, or in other words, 51% likely that you are a danger. So the judge says, well, from what it sounds like, yeah, I can see where it does look like it's more likely than not that this person could be dangerous. So the judge signs an order, and the police go and serve this ex parte protection order on this person. Now, what does the ex parte protection order actually say? It says that the police are going to come into that house, confiscate all the firearms, and take them away, and that's it. And then there's some other language in the bill about the recourse after somebody's been served such an order like that. But that's where it is. So run with me here. Keep up. If I am a dangerous person, I'm fat. It's not hard to keep up with me. If I'm a dangerous person, I might hurt myself or somebody else in the near future. The solution is to come take my guns and not help me. And that's it.
John, are they going to take your blunt objects? Are they going to take away your car keys? Are they going to take away your chainsaws?
Even the sharp objects get to stay.
All the kitchen knives.
The car keys get to stay.
Don't take my tub and my toaster.
The tub and toaster get to stay. But here's the kicker. So do I. I get to stay. If I'm served that order, they take my guns and leave me to my own devices. Do they require me to go get evaluated? No, of course not. Do they take me to get evaluated? No. Do they send a social worker or some sort of mental health professional to come and talk to me and see what's going on, and maybe I can get some help that way? Absolutely nowhere in that bill. Suicide Prevention Act is flat out what Patrick just put up on his phone on the screen there. Red flags. It's a red flag bill. It's been reworded so that extreme risk protection order is not in there. Ex parte protection order is in there. And we've been over this ad nauseum. but we need to revisit it for anybody that's out there that's listening to me right now, especially here in Nebraska. If you're not sure what that means, that's exactly what it means. It means when somebody might be dangerous, it's likely they're dangerous, and you take away their guns, you confiscate the firearms and nothing else, and leave them alone. That's it. You know, they did that here several years ago now. It happened in Baltimore. And what was the guy's name? Gary Willis, wasn't it? That I think that was his name. Willis or Willers, I don't remember. The late Gary Willis, because he got served this ex parte protection order, or that extreme risk protection order in Maryland. The police went at like 4 or 5 in the morning and pounded on his door. And this guy lives in a seedy part of town. So somebody's knocking on your door and wakes you up at 5 in the morning. What are you going to do? He went to the door and answered it with a gun in his hand. Well, as soon as he opened the door and they saw the gun, a scuffle immediately ensued. And the details are still kind of shady or hazy from what I can find. But at any rate, when the smoke cleared, Mr. Willis was dead. And that was the end of it. So he didn't get any help. Whether or not he was dangerous, it completely backfired. There may have been other cases since then, but that's the one that comes to mind. I don't want to see that happen to anybody in my state. But more importantly, if you back all this up, and if you just ask anybody off the street, if you knew somebody who you thought was about to be dangerous to themselves or to somebody else, what would you want to have happen? And everybody who's in their right mind is going to say, I would want them to go get some help. Whether it's voluntary or involuntarily, go get some help, right? Or be made to go get some help, or at least be taken off the street. If the person is dangerous, then wouldn't it make more sense to remove them from the situation than to just go in and take some stuff that, you know, they may or may not use to hurt somebody. But as we know, I mean, anybody that wants to be homicidal, they don't need guns to do it. They proved that again a little over a year ago at Christmas time in Wisconsin. Anybody that wants to be suicidal, you know, the suicide rate, I believe, in Japan is way higher than in the United States. But the number of firearm owners in Japan is like a drop in the bucket. So don't tell me that more guns equals more suicides, or that guns are required. They do make it, how do I say it? It's a way to make sure that it's a final solution, right? Although I do know somebody that I used to work with who, and I'm not obviously going to say his name, but those of you, if you know who I'm talking about. Young fella, fresh out of high school, had recently been dumped by his girlfriend, longtime, I think, high school sweetheart girlfriend. And this kid was a big coon hunter, so he would go out and take his dogs out, be gone half the night. His dad didn't think anything of it. He just said, "Dad, I'm going hunting," one night, and went out drove a ways out of town and had a shotgun with him, and decided to put that shotgun underneath his chin, pulled the trigger, didn't die. He's like, now what do I do? And so he had walked about a half a mile back towards town when somebody came down that road and found him and took him, and he's alive and well. His face has had to been reconstructed. When you see him, you know something's happened. You don't know what. But I mean, that doesn't always, what I'm saying, a couple things here, a couple points I want to make. Number one, you can use a firearm, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work, be any more effective than other methods. Number two, after that happened, he didn't take a second shot. He talked himself back out of that permanent solution to what, ended up being temporary problems. I think the guy's married now and got kids, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, that was getting dumped. It sucks, but you can live through that. That there will be better days again. And but what needed to happen is he needed to know that people cared and the community came together, and the show of support and love for the fella was really cool in that small town community after that. And I think that more than anything got him over the hump and back to, you know, where he thought there'd be a light at the end of the tunnel and he'd see brighter days again. So sometimes it's just, you know, that feeling of, you know, you're so alone and you don't know where to turn. That's where we need to do better, not just for the soldiers, for everybody, right? But when it's gone too far and there's a chance that somebody's going to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, then absolutely what we need to do is not just take away firearms and leave them alone, because leaving them alone is what put them there in the first place. In a lot of cases, they need some help. Let's remove the person. We don't need a new bill for that. We've already got laws on the books that allow for such a thing to happen. So let's start using those and get some people, see if we can maybe make the mental health field more attractive. I don't know how to do that. My wife used to work for an organization here in town that was their goal. It was a grant funded organization that they were trying to bring more people into the mental health field just as a whole, to go out to job fairs and talk to schools and places, you know, about the opportunities, the different kind of jobs there are in the field, just to grow the mental health industry as a whole. You know, the options are out there, but people need to know that they need to decide to work in that field. I don't know that I could do it. It's not for everybody. It's like being a CNA. You know, I mean, not everybody can work in a nursing home and wipe butts for a living, but those of you that do it, I'm sure thankful you're doing it, so I don't have to. Same thing with those of you that go to war. I'm sure thankful for you, so I didn't have to. There's a lot of professions like that, but the mental health field is definitely one that we need to grow it, and not only grow it in size, but we need to mature it. We need to fine tune it and make it more effective. And I don't know the answers. I don't know how to do that. I just know that that's the end point that I would like to see. I don't know the path to get us there. If anybody does, I'd love to hear some thoughts.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about that is that actions speak a lot louder than words. And you're right.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't done anything to really push that aspect of life, which morals and behavior science and all that fun jazz are basically an afterthought. I mean, you know, people got sick of saying, you know, thoughts and prayers back when we had these folks that were living their fantasies of creating evil. But we never got to the root cause of why these people were creating evil.
Well, and I mean, we can go down a big rabbit hole on this one, but I'm willing to take that chance that that's what happens here when I say this. As a society, and I'm not speaking about the whole world, but specifically here in the States, it's hard to stay on that train of thought when we have worked so hard, not we, but people have worked so hard in our society, especially in our nation, to devalue human life. And when we're so intent on making it, you know, the law that you can kill your unborn baby up to birth, or in some states, even during or right directly after, which is flat out murder. There's no question of that, but we have devalued human life. We have incentivized destabling the family unit. And
you gotta ban guns to save the children.
Right. Yeah. Ban guns to save the children. But what about promoting, you know, having a mom and a dad in a house? And if you're not going to have a mom and a dad, then, you know, you can have two moms, but they still need a father figure that stands in. You can have two dads, but they're still going to need a mother figure too, because the family was designed to have a mom and a dad. I mean, you can't, two dudes can't make a baby, two women can't make a baby. And for the record, only the women can have babies. And if you were born a man and you want to live your life as a woman, I've said this before, if you're cool to me, I'll be cool to you and I'll be respectful to you. But at the end of the day, I'm not ever going to say that the emperor is anything but naked there. I mean, yeah, you're a dude that wants to live as a woman. That's your choice. Now, the fact is that families need to be families. Kids need to have the influence of male and female authority figures growing up. And the reason I say that is because the statistics don't lie. The people that grow up in family units like that statistically do better, go farther in life. Is that 100%? No. Can you be born with, grow up with only one parent and still do great things? Absolutely. There's a list longer than I can than I have time tonight to name them all of people that have flourished in such a situation, right? What I am saying is, though, that's the exception to the rule. They're not the rule. Overall, the family unit that's been deconstructed, and it's been incentivized to deconstruct the family with welfare and everything else. The single parent families get government aid, whereas the two parent families, I don't know how many times I've seen single parent households that have so many benefits and they're eating all kinds of cool stuff. And, I'm in a 2-income household and we're getting by, but we're barely getting by, at certain points. It irks me that I try to do things right and I end up paying the price for not only that, but I'm also paying the bill for the people that just get to go off and have 6 kids from 8 different men and whatever else. So yes, I said that right. And you're all thinking of somebody. Well, she's not sure exactly who that one's dad is, but you know what I'm talking about. You guys all know somebody like that, and that's what's sad. We all do. We all know somebody like that. That's my point. So yeah, going back to what you said, Patrick. I mean, it's just the fact that we always say stuff, we don't do stuff. Well, they can't back those words up with actions without admitting that they've been selling snake oil this whole time. So now we have a catch-22 where we can't admit this without undermining that. So all we get to do is pay lip service to it, and then but at the same time, at least we can go on the news and say that well, we're trying to do something, but these other people always block us or whatever. There's always a reason why they can't actually do something, right? For every solution, they will come up with a problem. It's just, this is turning into a rant session, but I don't have solutions. I don't know the answers. But if we don't start asking the questions, we're not going to find the answers. So I think the rant sessions, the bitch sessions, are sometimes needed when we get to this, because we start asking questions that maybe somebody else has the same question, or maybe they've never thought about it, but they'll hear that and think, well, yeah, why don't we do something about it? You know what? I think that I've got an idea that would work. So I try to spur some thought, even when I'm just going off on a particular topic. So,
John, on that thought, just to throw this out there, Nebraska is very, very short on mental health facilities. We are very, very limited. There's not very many here. The other issue we have is there are not the amount of conservative-minded psychologists that people like us would like to actually associate with or talk to. They're even rare. So for a solution, my biggest thing would be take time. Stop for a minute. Sometimes we're in such a rush to get through life that, you might have a friend that just is having a hard time, and we all have that guy that they'll beat around the bush and this and that, but something's bothering them. Sometimes we just need to take a minute and have a little empathy for each other. I think honestly, we can be some of the most help for those closest to us if we just take a minute to stop and listen. You know, a lot of these people are asking for help. A lot of them just need a vent. You know, maybe you can offer a solution that they hadn't been looking at. But I think we get so busy with our own lives sometimes that the easiest way to help each other out from a mental health point of view is just stop and listen.
Yeah. And sometimes people just want to vent and they don't want solutions. They just want somebody to listen and acknowledge that, yeah, that sucks.
Spoken like a man who's married too.
but in all honesty, that's very true. But here's the other thing that I just think of in my own personal life is, you know, there have been times where, even on way early episodes of, actually not even this show, the one before it, 2A Tuesday, we talked about mental health and suicide and stuff like that. And there have been times that I've kind of, I don't really want to say let my guard down, but I've opened up more and let people see more, you know, talked about what goes on inside that I don't always tell just anybody, you know, or tell everybody. That needs to be normalized a little bit more. But then I also think about, well, why don't I talk about what I'm struggling with more often? Well, because I don't want to be like one of those people who all they ever do is talk about, you know, well, I've got this problem and woe is me. And you know, I don't only ever want to talk about it. If I've got a real problem, then I need to do something about it. But there's times that, you know, I hold stuff back because I don't think it's that big a deal, or I don't want it to seem like that big a deal. You know, we're men. We don't want anybody to know when we're struggling because we're manly men, right? So we're strong. We can handle it. We don't want anybody to think we can't handle it. So it's kind of like being in the, you know, the deep end of the pool, and I'm not a good swimmer. In my case, I'm not a swimmer at all. You know, I'm struggling to keep my head above water, but I don't want to scream out for any help either, because I don't want anybody to know that I can't handle it on my own. I don't want to be a problem. You know, everybody else is doing their own thing and swimming in the pool, and I don't want anybody to take time out of what they're doing to come over and have to bail me out. You know, I mean, there's so many reasons why we don't open up. So some of that stigma, some of that's just the male psyche, I think. Some guys have an easier time than others opening up and talking about stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, you know, I've never been through anything yet that I haven't survived. So, I mean, I'm doing okay so far, but you know, there's stuff that we all struggle with, and we're all afraid. I think we're all at least a little bit afraid that if anybody actually knew everything that we were struggling with inside, that, you know, you'd look at us different. When in the truth, you know, the truth is in reality that, every one of you is going through just as much, just as bad, maybe more, maybe worse crap than what I'm struggling with. And if we all just put our cards out on the table, we'd number one, we'd find out that you're not alone. You're not even different. You're just like everybody else. And then you see what other people are struggling with. And I guess that's one of my other fears. Like, I want to whine about something, but then I talk to somebody else that, you know, if they told me their problems, well, gosh, you know, I got that. That's kind of like saying I'm bitching about a paper cut to a guy that just got his arm ripped off. My troubles are nothing, you know? So I don't know. There's a lot of factors that factor into why we don't open up, as not only as men, but just as a society. Cause I know it's not exclusive to just the guys. As a rule, I think that the female gender does open up a little bit easier, but I think that's because they were wired to.
That's because they all go to the bathroom together. I mean, good Lord.
Well, that could be it too. No,
You know,
I asked one time because I wanted to know.
That.
So I asked. It's when I say I did the research, what I mean is I asked. I didn't go into the ladies' room and actually research this, but I wanted to know, when I was
You ever
very,
seen John in his pink tutu? He was in there. He did go in.
I can go to whatever bathroom I want to. It depends on how I identify that day.
This is America,
right?
You can do what you
Hey,
want.
Target says that I can go to any bathroom in there.
Yep.
Nationwide. So no, but honestly, so for the fellas, if you've ever wondered and been too afraid to ask, I had a in moment of insanity or bravery or insane bravery. So I asked, and it's they don't do that in private. Like when you're at somebody's house, the girls don't have to go to the bathroom together. It's when you're out at the bar, right? Because bars are gross, right? And so you don't actually sit on that toilet. You just got to like hunker down there and hover. So the other girls are there to help you from falling over. They hold on to you so you don't fall. That's what they just hold each other up.
So it's a hygiene practice. It's not because they're discussing whether or not they want to go home with you.
Equals bring a friend to help you hover and stay steady.
That's brilliant. But it's really smart, actually.
Fellas, we could learn from that. Not in the bathroom, but as a metaphor for life.
No, so see, you four could easily hold me up if I got to go in the back. You know, I mean, you got this. You got this.
That's a good friend right there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, who knows what we picked up from sitting on those toilet seats in those bars? You know, some of them don't even.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're guys. We're not going to help. We're going to push you over and then laugh.
Yeah, there you go. Right on. Right. I'd watch out because it seems like everybody's got diarrhea in public except you. So you probably want to be careful. So that's all I'm going to say. You know what I'm talking about.
In between
the guy that's all next door is just like dying. You know, I mean, it's like, bro, Kersey for us. You know?
Yeah. No, but in all honesty, I mean that metaphor right there. You know. If guys could be just a little bit more like that, not in the bathroom, but just in general, you know, or I shouldn't say guys, people in general, lift each other up, hold each other up, and keep each other from falling.
John, we do that though. It's like, bro, help me carrying the keg, bro. Come on, let's go.
Right. But see, the thing is when it's a whole bunch of guys, and there's no, you know, the urinals are all on the same wall, and everybody faces the same direction because if there wasn't that structure and that order. You know, there'd be like a bug flying around or something, and then it becomes target practice, and then it turns into Star Wars, and you're having lightsaber battles in there, and it's just.
I don't know, John. Those troughs in Memorial Stadium that you pee into, those giant sinks, they have no dividers between them. You just step up and kind of don't look at that dude next to you. You know, it's just
eyes front, eyes front.
Wait. Every time I've ever been in one of those, it's like every other one. You never walk and stand next to somebody. There's always one in between
all the time, dude. No. The Nebraska, the Memorial Stadium have these long cattle troughs you go pee in.
The trough,
I remember those.
It's about a 50-foot trough.
Or wall.
Terrifying when you're a child, man. It's terrifying when your parents in it.
The wall is what got me.
Yeah, ones that go all the way to the floor, you know. And when the kids are little, you're like, "Don't step in there."
Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of how the trough is. So to go off on a complete tangent, you guys ever been in such a backcountry bar or establishment where the trough actually was full of ice because they didn't even have a water pipe dripping water into that thing? That's how you know. That's how you know you're in.
Yes, I have been there.
Wait, there's establishments in Nebraska that don't have running water yet?
Well, they have running water, but they didn't want to waste the constant stream or the constant drip into the trough to keep it flushed.
Yep, dude, that is about as redneck. That's a Jeff Foxworthy joke just waiting to happen, dude. I mean, seriously.
But it does. I mean, it serves two purposes. It also gives you you entertain yourself while you're in there. I mean, you got an aiming point, and you can try to
splash off the
sculptures and.
Oh my god. Get it all over your pants, and you got to hand dryer. You got to dry. There's no hand dryer. They probably have those stupid towel things that I've never been able to figure out. Those towel things that go around. Those, you know.
Oh god! Try to bore a hole into the ice. That's the idea. You know how far can you bore into the ice before you run out?
God, civilization disappears when you go west.
Melt it all.
You're drinking beer. You got to have a reason. There's something to concentrate on so you don't fall over.
I'd rather just go out back and take my chances on electric fence. You know, I mean, seriously.
Right here on the podcast. I'm going to share this right here on the podcast. These are pictures I took.
I'm available for shows, bar mitzvahs, whatever.
Speaking of Columbus, Nebraska, which may or may not be the place where one person on the panel lived out his glory days of his youth. If you've ever been to the American Legion in Columbus, Nebraska, and you've been to the men's room, you have seen urinal targets that look like that. They put stickers in the urinal. Now,
that's different. That's different than a pile of ice.
Anything about the Vietnam War?
Yep.
Oh my!
It says Hanoi Jane.
Yep.
So yes, they've got one in all but one of the urinals. So I just that was so cool. And if you know the story, you're laughing, and if you don't know, you need to look it up afterwards. Just look up Hanoi Jane. Good old Ms. Fonda.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, okay. This has been kind of a free for all, a rabbit hole fest.
John, I was going to add something.
You get what you asked for, John. You get what you asked for. If you don't give a structure, we're going to take it anywhere. We can talk about.
Okay.
You don't know what.
We need these nights.
Yeah.
Right.
We need these nights. Joe, what were you going to say?
I was just going to add to what you were saying about, how we're guys, we basically shoulder everything and we just kind of move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was just by chance or how it worked out, but I think one of the things of knowing a lot of different vets and family and realizing that people need a vent and sometimes just need to have a conversation. I've had a few of those early morning calls, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning from friends that were vets and whatnot. And so I think we finally got to a point where me personally, I think there's probably 3 or 4 of us kind of in a group, and it was nothing official or really, major. A couple of us drive truck, a couple of us are in construction. We got families, but we've kind of all had this discussion of, hey, you know what? If something's really bothering you, call me. Mm-hmm. My phone's always on, dude. If something ever gets, if life's just kicking you around, and I'm not even talking about suicidal, just if life's really kicking you around and you just feel like you're hitting a wall, give me a call. I got a couple of guys that do that. I got a couple of buddies that, it's like when you just want to vent. Life just, work made you mad, everything, and you just need that chance to just vent and talk to, and hell, I haul propane for a living. I mean, it's dangerous. Before that, I was an iron worker. I used to climb 200, 300, 400 feet up in the air. I've always been an adrenaline junkie. So I've always been, kind of a man's man. I guess maybe it was a little bit easier for me to kind of go, you know what? We all have those times in life that you really need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that you were saying is, as guys, we're that way. But I think it takes guys like us to have that realization. Do you have a couple of really good friends that that you trust, that you can actually talk to?
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? There are times when life just is crappy, dude, and I could really just use a conversation or a friend.
Yeah.
But on the same hand, when you're that way, call me up. I don't care if it's 11 o'clock at night. Because, sometimes that's the only time you get to decompress. And I think for all of us, that would really move us forward, especially if some of us are Christians or we believe in a higher power or whatever you want to put it. I think that would really help us grow and even help with our own mental peace. And I really think we need to do that.
Well, and there's just something, I guess I'm going to say spiritual, whether or not you're a spiritual type of a person, but there is something spiritual about being taken into somebody's confidence like that. They trust you enough to share, stuff that they don't tell the world, and going on that journey together, helping each other out, sharing stuff that you trust them 100% that it's not going any farther than that, and they are a safe person that you can tell stuff to, and vice versa. One leans on the other for a while, and then it's the reverse is true. The second one has to lean on that first one, and that's what going on that journey together does. But that, again, that bonds people in a way that really can't be put into words or quantified. But it's just a spiritual process of going on that journey with somebody and being part of their inner workings. There's something cool about that. And far too many people don't have anybody to go on that journey with. And sometimes, being a married man, I can do that up to a point with my bride, but then there's other stuff that, it's that just two guys need to talk about, that, it's not anything. How do I want to say this? It's, there's just some stuff that guys understand guys, girls understand girls. There's stuff about girls that I don't want to understand. Of course, that makes me think of George Carlin, who said, "Men don't try to understand women. Women understand women, and they hate each other." So,
right.
But I mean, if you're out there, if you need somebody to talk to and you don't know who that is, you don't have that person, then put your trust in an anonymous stranger, because there are people out there, and oh gosh, I didn't even think about this to prepare for it. What's the new short number? Is it 811 for the suicide?
No, that's hotline? When you need a barrier, or that's the Diggers hotline.
Okay.
811. You're talking.
The suicide hotline has a quick 3-digit dial, and it's live, I think, on every phone system now.
I think you're right. Boy, I'm having a mind blank. I don't remember. But yeah, you're right.
988. My producer beat you by 1 second, Patrick.
I had to unmute.
Darren's got it out there too, in the YouTube chat there. 988. So yeah, dial 988 on your phone. Get the suicide hotline. It's not anybody that knows you. You can tell them what's up, tell them what you're dealing with, and if it's bad enough that you honestly are thinking some dark thoughts, then they're actually trained in how to help you. They can either talk to you or just listen, or if they need to get you some better help, then they can point you in the right direction and get you some better help. But the thing is, it's not just the veterans, although yes, it sucks to know that every day 22 veterans end their own lives. That I can't wrap my head around, how many veterans that is that we've lost over the course of the years. But whether you're a veteran or not, you deserve to get better. You deserve to feel better. You deserve to feel good. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you've seen. I don't care what you've been through. You deserve a chance to turn it around, and everybody does. And so that's where 988 comes in. You can talk to some folks. As gun owners, I know a lot of time the stigma is there that I'm afraid to go get help because I'm afraid that I'll lose my gun privileges. I'll be a prohibited person. You're only going to lose your gun privileges one of two ways. Number one, you're actually adjudicated mentally ill, which means the judge has signed off. You've been to court, you've been interviewed, you've been assessed, and the judge has signed off that you're mentally defective. You're not in control of your mental state. That's one way. That's a long, drawn out process to get somebody adjudicated mentally incompetent. That with their older loved ones, parents, grandparents, when dementia sets in or things like that, to legally take their keys away or legally put them into a home that can help them better than living it, alone or whatever. Anybody that's been through that with a loved one, it's a long process. And of course, if you live in a state with red flag laws, then you can lose your gun privileges that way too. Otherwise, any other thing that's going to cause you to lose lose your rights is going to be something that you've chosen to do. So that's going to be it. If you voluntarily checked yourself in to a mental hospital to get some help, that does not mean that you become a prohibited person. Just so you guys know, that's not a thing that I don't think in any state, that voluntary, seeking help. That's something again that needs to be encouraged. If you're going through some stuff, go get help. And there's organizations like Hold My Guns. So if you don't trust yourself, and it's a great organization because you're not forced into it. The opposite of a red flag law. If you decide yourself that, hey, I want somebody else to hold on to my guns for a while so that they're not in my house, that's a great place. Incidentally, there's myriad reasons why you might talk to them and find somebody to hold on to your guns. Maybe you're going on extended vacation. Maybe you're getting deployed, and you don't want your guns in your house while you're not home. There's a lot of different reasons why people would use Hold My Guns. That's only one of them, is the mental health aspect, but it's a big one. But all that stuff just means that you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself, and that's to be commended, not punished. So we need to normalize that conversation too. We need more organizations like WTTA, Walk the Talk America. Go to excuse me, hold on. Go to WTTA.org and just check out what Mike and Jake and everybody else there is doing. The WTTA is an organization that is trying to bridge that rift between the gun owning community and the mental health community. Speaking of conservative mental health clinicians, Jake Wiskirchen, who is on the board for WTTA, great guy. He's been on the show. Super cool guy, super conservative gun owner. He's the type of mental health professional that we need to see more of, who not only understand what you're going through, or understand how to help you with what you're going through, I should say, but they also understand your reservations as far as not wanting to lose your guns, right? And they 100% don't want you to lose your guns. They want you to keep them. Jake's a great guy. He wants you to hold on to your guns if you can. Yeah, he doesn't want to see people lose their stuff just because of unconstitutional crap like a red flag law. Darren says, hold and clean all my guns. Yeah, well, that would be cool if Hold My Guns brings them back cleaner than.
Look, I'll be more than happy to make cleaning videos.
Actually, that's the best thing. Just
send them my way. Hey, that's cool. I got plenty of safe space here, like literal safe storage space. So
you're gonna have to go to Rumble or Gunstreamer or YouTube pretty soon to see those videos.
Yep. No, that's fine. I'm expecting it any day now, so I'm on borrowed time, my channel, so whatever.
I'm not worried about YouTube. I'm worried about Facebook, honestly. And if Facebook boots me, it's not just going to be the Sandhills Media Facebook page. It's going to be everything that I ever have done on Facebook. I'm going to wake up one day and it's going to be gone for a post that came a year ago or 4 years ago or whatever it is. That's the kind of crap that happens. So if you ever can't find me on Facebook, rest assured that I will be back. I'll just have to make a new email address and start a different account and do all that stuff and probably get a different device with a different IP address so they don't know it's me, and I'll start fresh. And I know people that have had to start fresh and it sucks. So Facebook does give you the option. You can download all your pictures and stuff to a phone or computer. I recommend everybody do that periodically. If you want to keep all your Facebook pictures and stuff backed up, that's a great way to do it. So, okay, it's after 9:30. It's which means it's almost 11 o'clock in Patrick's house, or excuse me, in the undisclosed location in the swamp. So let's wrap this up, and we will we'll get going. Again, I just want to mention that in March We're going to make the move to Wednesday nights. So if you want to catch us live, catch us at 8 o'clock Central on Wednesdays. Starting in March, we will give it a trial for a month, and then we'll see if it stays that way or if we go back. But that's going to happen starting the first episode in March, which actually this is an odd year, which means only 28 days in February, which means that it'll also be the 2nd of March, because the March and February calendars, if you've never noticed, unless it's leap year, March is the same as February, just with 3 extra days. So it's kind of a cool little quirk there, since it's an even number of weeks in February.
Somebody has too much time on their hands.
Yeah, it was my high school guidance counselor that taught me that. So yeah, he had apparently way too much time on his hands. Cool guy. Mr. Hoffman from Thedford, Nebraska, originally. Okay, so let's wrap things up. Joe, final thoughts, things you needed to say, and you don't really have any YouTube or Facebook stuff to plug, but you can plug NFOA, or you know what? Tell us all the organizations that you're involved with that you want to disclose. Not doxing you
here. Wow, thanks. No, actually, it's kind of interesting. Like I was telling Travis earlier, I am part of a subcommittee that is going through mental health and public health bills. We've been going through a bunch of them lately, you know, and it doesn't matter if it's what side of the fence they're on. You really trying to keep an open mind and find some good things, because Nebraska really needs to do something. We just have very limited resources right now. A lot of them have been closed down, funding, so on and so forth. And there has been a few of those that are coming out. And then, I am part of the NFOA with John. He's the director.
You just muted yourself.
There we go. See, thank you. This is why you're the director of media, and you know.
You just said you're part of the NFOA, and that's all the farther you got there.
Yeah, I'm the NFOA, and John just helps out there. We appreciate him, so you know. No, actually, he does a wonderful job. He has all the bells and whistles and knows how to do a lot of the tech savvy stuff. And there's a few times I got to ask him what the heck's going on. He does a great job there. So definitely giving a shout out to John on that. Very involved. We went and testified this last week, both of us. And we had just about everybody from NFOA down there that day.
All but one. Only one could get away from work.
Right, and I thought that was absolutely wonderful. And if you want to be a member of the NFOA, you can email us at www.nebraskafirearms.org. And if you would like to be on our email list, email us at info@nebraskafirearms.org. We would absolutely love to get you on our email list. We'll be able to keep you up to date on any firearm related bills, be it good or bad, if we're for them or against them, and we can give you the information as to why we're either for it or against it, such as the suicide prevention bill. The sad thing is it does nothing about suicide. It does everything about wanting to take your guns under false pretenses. Right. We have constitutional carry coming up. That is looking really good. We'll just kind of leave that right now. It's still kind of in progress. And we had, I believe, the hearings today for 194, which was the Second Amendment Preservation Act.
Yep. And I haven't seen or heard anything from that today. I haven't had time to go back and watch the video or anything.
Yeah, same here. I was just so busy working, I didn't have a chance to. So, and then of course, you know, you have your podcast here. So I think you do a wonderful job of reaching out to everybody and giving us all kind of a voice and
our best.
Right. And rambling.
We see a lot more concurrent views when we do an NFOA live stream than when we do over here. A I'm happy when I go out to tens of people every Thursday night here. But NFOA, there's a lot of members, a lot of followers over there, so that's pretty cool. But I don't mind talking about NFOA here. I don't talk about my podcast over there. That seems a little wrong to me. So I don't use
That's
that.
why I always try to plug you, John, and you always
but
like, shut up.
I don't even
Shut
feel
up.
right when you do that. Joe, thank you very much for everything that you do, for coming in here and adding to the discussion. We appreciate you. It's a fun time to be part of NFOA. So
Absolutely. It's
Pat,
a
we'll
blast.
move over
We
to
have
you.
great people.
Closing thoughts, and where can people find what you're doing?
Well, thanks again for having me on. It's definitely a good conversation as always, John. And they can find me on YouTube and Facebook. Pat in the Bunker on YouTube side. I got a lot of stuff down, and it's ready to be sent out, but my internet has sucked so bad here lately. It takes like 2.5 anywhere to 4 days to try to get it
Oh my gosh!
uploaded. So
Hence
I'm
the not
lucky
running the
that
camera tonight.
exactly. And it's just a good night. I'm just glad everything held together tonight. So thanks for having me on, and good panel tonight. Definitely a lively conversation.
And
a
just
lot
so
of
you
rabbit
know,
holes.
I'll say this now while you're here to hear it. You're absolutely under no obligation to join these ever, but I know that you're coming up to calving season, so I get it. You'll be scarce for a while maybe, and that's okay. Grab some sleep while you can, man.
Yep, that's exactly what I plan on doing. The first one hit the ground today.
Cool. Good deal. Well, we'll hope for 100% crop this year.
Me too. Thanks again.
All righty. Thanks, Pat. Patrick, we'll move over to you. Closing thoughts, and where can people find all the cool stuff that you do?
Well, first and foremost, let's talk about the Gun Food real quick. We do have a discount code. So if you go to thegunfood.com and upon checkout, you type in Sandhills and you will receive a discount on ammunition. That is thegunfood.com. You can find me on the IG, The Gun Food. I'm on Facebook as well. You can look me up. I won't quite say my name, but yeah. Anyhow, I'm down here in Florida for this event here, the Florida Fest 2023. And we'll have a table set up and maybe even try to get some live video and capture some content for it.
Sweet. Cool. And hey, real quick, I forgot to ask, and I wanted to ask you this. I know last year you were having a lot of trouble with deliveries, getting just magically messed up somehow and not getting where they were supposed to be. Did that clear up? You still fighting with that? What's happening there?
I am still fighting with that. However, I did receive an email last Friday stating that they are going to complete the remaining $2,500 of lost product. But yeah, that has been a hurdle. That started back in July of last year, and I'm still waiting on $2,500 of compensation back from them.
But at one point, you were tens of thousands of dollars of undelivered product, right? That you had shipped out.
Approximately 12,000. Yep.
Wow. Crazy stuff. Well, I'm glad it's getting better, but it sucks that it's not behind you yet. So if there's anything that not just me, but those of us in the community can do to spread awareness, you let us know, and we'll try to shine a spotlight on what's happening if you want us to.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me as well.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Travis, we'll let you back clean up tonight.
Yeah, it's wonderful having this conversation with my future stallmates. It's nice to know you guys got my back anytime we go into the restroom, and it's good to know that that you're there. You got my backside. Anyway, so yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. But John, it was a great discussion tonight. It was a lot of different topics we covered. It was good to talk about Chris Kyle. It was good to bring up the topic of mental health. I think it's very, very important, and I'm glad people are working out like Joe's putting in the time to make a change. I think that's a wonderful thing. Shameless self-plug, check out my YouTube channel, Travis P11, and we have a podcast called Caliber Corner that we do every Saturday morning, for now, at 8 a.m. Central Time. Just in case you guys are curious if my channel would ever disappear, The way I think Gunstreamer does it and YouTube does it, they're just plugging in like your link to your videos. So if my channel ever disappears from YouTube, I think it would disappear from those two sites.
I think
because they're not. I don't think they're back, because whenever I delete a video from YouTube, they automatically disappear from those two websites also.
I guess.
But I am over on Rumble, and I am also on Odyssey. It's just Travis P11. So my collection's backed up in those spots, and I've got everything backed up in multiple places. I'm not going to start over again if my channel gets deleted. Not on YouTube, I wouldn't bother. I've got a B channel. I can put non-gun content on, but yeah. So anyway, yep, that's where we're at. So I appreciate the invite, and it was a fun discussion tonight. Sorry I forgot Goofy. I was just having fun. I needed to laugh today, and you guys were there to help me out. So it's good stuff. So yep.
Nope, that's absolutely okay. We need to get goofy sometimes. Sometimes we get a little too serious, and I'm a firm believer in not taking life too seriously, because you'll never get out alive anyway.
So, hey, to any women watching tonight, this is what men really talk about when we're together. So I just want the ladies need to know that too, in case they're kind of curious. So it's not just all
those memes,
football and movies about war. Okay, what?
Or all those versions of the meme where the guy and the gal are laying there in the bed, and she's like, "I bet he's thinking about other women," and in his thought bubble is like, "How do
there's
they get
a PSA Jacqueline stock?
That glass bottle anyway?"
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we are. So
when is that new Marlin ever going to come out? That new 336 ever going to come out? Am I going to be alive when it comes out?
They unveiled that, didn't they, this year at SHOT Show?
Yeah, they did. They said at some point. So it's been hard to not want to just turn around and just buy a Henry and be done with it. But I'm waiting. Right. I'm waiting.
All right. So fellas, thank you, all of you, for joining us. All of you out there in the chat, we appreciate all of you. I do want to mention, I said this last week too. I too am on Rumble. As soon as I get, I've got 12 subs now. As soon as I get 25 subs, I need 13 more to be able to go live, and I'll be able to do these live on Rumble as well. That actually might be my link. It's just rumble.com/sandhillsmedia. So the one I put up in the comments may not be the right one. But if you go to Rumble and search Sandhills Media, you know which one you'll to look for. It's got my logo. So sub to me if you would. I'd appreciate it over there on the Rumble. And then I've also got which Rumble and Locals are tied together now. But Locals is not a dating site. It's just like anything else, social media, you build little communities there. They call them communities instead of pages. But I do have a community on Locals as well that's tied to the Rumble. Dave Rubin started Locals, and since then they've merged with Rumble, and he's like Rumble went public, so I guess he's not co-owner. But he's tied in with that. If you know Dave Rubin from the Rubin Report, cool guy. Would love to meet him. If you don't know him, look him up. Rubin, Rubin, the Rubin Report. He's on weekdays at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Good stuff. He's one of those California lefties that left California. He didn't leave the left left him. So now he's not over conservative, but he's definitely, since the center point shifted, he's on the right side of it now. He left California to move to Florida, where the laws are actually good, and he's got freedom. And you can say what you want. He's married to a dude. He's not overly, super conservative guy, but good fella. All right, with that, we're going to go to the list, and we'll get out of here. So if you made comments on YouTube, then you got your name on the list. I didn't see any comments. I didn't even see any views on Facebook all night this time. But who'd we have on YouTube? We had Kingpin, Travis, Irish Wristwatcher, 10X Shooter, Scott79, Pat, Vanessa Kitty, Agorizer, that gun foodie guy, Ozzy Osbourne, M. Gabriel, G23, Chris from the 740, and Darren Fulmer. If we missed you, it's because you didn't comment enough, or you didn't comment at all. So get those comments in. Join us. We love doing this live. It's better than TV. You can actually talk to us. We can talk back. We can actually just go back and forth. And like I said, if you ever give us some cool questions, try to stump us. That maybe I should reword it. Stump the panel. See, maybe next week we'll try and stump the panel. I've got to look at the calendar. Is it next
week?
With
that. I'm a fountain of useless knowledge.
Yeah. It's either next week or the week after. We should have Amanda Suffolcool in here talking about her run for the NRA board. So that'll be kind of fun. Cool lady. If you don't know who that is, you need to look her up. Hashtag I want to be like Amanda Suffolk. All right. So we're going to get out of here. We love you. God bless you. Catch us next week. We're going to be, again, Thursdays through February. Wednesdays will start in March. If you're in Nebraska, pay attention to these laws that we've been talking about. If you're not in Nebraska, you can still be an NFOM member. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are. It's free to join. It'll always be free. We don't ask you for your money, but I'm going to tell you, we'll take it. Anybody that wants to send it. So just contact us for the shipping, the mailing address, or the PayPal. So with that, that's it. It's time to go. We love you guys. God bless you, but get off my lawn.